We're going to talk about Minneapolis and the craziness that is about to be unfurled on the United States. We'll be right back. What is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf. Tonight we're going to be talking about Minneapolis. We're going to be talking about all of the different states, and we're going to talk about a new executive order that will probably affect all of us immediately. So stick around and find out which one. We'll be right back. What is going on, guys? My name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Lots to talk about today as we are covering some really crazy stuff. In fact, if you've never been here before, again, of course, we have our main channel, Marfoogle News, at 155,000 subscribers on YouTube. Our backup channel, which you are most likely watching on Marfoogle TV, at 116,000 subscribers, or I'm sorry, now 117. And, of course, our D-Live family of 20,000 followers. So make sure you get to all three of those, and you can do that all in one place, and even follow along today with all of the articles. See, we're going to be covering a lot of news, and we don't just say something and say, hey, believe us. We actually give you the sources and a bibliography on our website, marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go there, you're actually going to be able to look for the thumbnail that we just showed you. And it's all organized by that. You go to Minneapolis, Is This Just the Start? And, of course, when you click on it, you'll see all of the links are there. So not one of them is left out. All the tweets, videos, any kind of documents that we may show you, we're actually going to give you access to them. On top of that, at the very bottom of the screen, you can actually see that we are going to have the callers down at the bottom. So all of these you can read along. So say if we covered just the headline and use it to make a point, but you want to read the rest, you can actually do so right here on marfooglenews.com. And then, of course, the caller info will be down here by the end of the show. It is a live show, so anything can happen. The number is 224-400-MARF. And then, of course, if you would like to support us in any way, if you see any products that you want to get, a small commission of that will help us do broadcasts just like this. All right, with that being said, let's introduce Dex here. Dex, are you there, and can we do a sound check?
Hello, Adam. I am here, and hello, Foogle fam.
So Dex will be helping us with the calls. He also helps with all of the tech stuff. He's our tech expert, and he will actually be in the background trying to help me show you guys anything that the callers may give us. So if they have a photo or a video or anything like that, he has an entire screen to my left devoted to the callers. Again, that is 224-400-MARF, and then you will want to press option 4 once you get to our phone tree. It is now 6:06 p.m. on the 28th of May. The wrong M month. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the news, and there is one heck of a lot of it. Before I do that, just make sure you know nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else who helps the show, including the wonderful mods. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. Okay, now that I got the echo out, we can move on. So obviously a lot of people are talking about the Minneapolis and what is going on there, and there is one heck of a lot. So just to show you real quick, this is kind of apparently a Target and an AutoZone. Most of you have seen this by now. It is complete mayhem there. Is this organic? That's the question I would like to leave. Now, again, this is the target. There's many more videos online. In fact, some of them are inside of them tearing up everything. In fact, it looked like it was straight out of a movie. I mean, this was no joke, one of the craziest scenes you've ever seen. Some are questioning what is actually going on here. Why is this happening? Again, they have nonstop covered different cases over the last week. We're not going to touch on this one, but we do want you to be encouraged to go over to Twitter and follow me there. Again, I've been posting. There's platforms like Now This that literally have been scrounging for any news all over the country, no matter what it is, about brutality from the enforcement side. And it's literally like they're grabbing stuff from 2 years ago, slapping a label on it and saying that, basically not saying it's 2 years old. And then people are getting angry about all of this stuff. It's getting people all hyped up and triggered. Now, mind you, the stuff that did happen, absolutely horrible. But what I don't get is this stuff is happening 50 times a day, and why don't they cover it then? It's like all of this coverage is happening all at once, and it is starting off some major stuff. I guess the bad or the worst part about this is if it got even worse or if it went nationwide. We're talking about, 92 style, or in fact, what year was it? April 29th, was it 1992? The famous Sublime song talks about the riots. Man, I think it is. April 29th, 1992. Something, where were you? Yeah. That's
you got it.
That is not even where this could go. This could go much further than this. So we're watching for all of this to change and what is going to happen. This is a big deal because they not only set a AutoZone ablaze, but a Target, and then locals from there. If you're local there, love to have a call from you at 224-400-MARF. Did you participate in this? Were you there? Did you see it? Is this the Target you go to? Doesn't matter. Give us a call at 224-400-MARF. Again, you can see in this picture, what's crazy is these guys are videotaping. Well, it just seems like you would think if they were going to be complacent in this and laugh, you'd think they would almost ask for a TV. Look at this. All flat screen televisions loading up 4, 5, 6. Again, some people that say, this doesn't seem organic. That is a question I would like you guys to ask yourself. What is really going on here with everything that is happening? And do you think that this could come to a city near you? The odds are that you probably don't. People don't think that this is going to happen where they live until it does. Now, again, just to pull this up, it says George Floyd case, protests erupt across the country after Minnesota man's death. Now it says the mayor of Minneapolis has asked the National Guard to step in to help keep the peace. William La Jeunesse has the latest. It says multiple cities across the U.S. exploded into outcry on Wednesday night, just days after Minneapolis resident George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died while in police custody. It says in contrast to the peaceful protests that spawned the Minneapolis streets on Tuesday, the demonstration Wednesday descended into chaos soon after the sun fell. Images show hundreds of demonstrators gathering around the 3rd Precinct headquarters and later an apartment complex and several businesses on fire. So this is the footage we saw as it was going down live. In fact, as this was happening, some people on social media were cheering them on. And the rest were, condemning them for essentially, just like that previous comment that we just saw. Of course, this woman says, "What the hell is wrong with you people? You had the whole world behind you in solidarity and go mess it up by becoming common street thugs." Apparently, AutoZone is now a target for the Minneapolis rioters. I do have to agree. Why I could understand if you're going to loot somewhere, Target would probably be the loot place to go, right? But AutoZone, why would they set that on fire? It's probably a privately owned franchisee, so a gentleman actually owns that or something. Why go after the ma and pa stores, if anything? Of course, all of it is quite insane. But again, to go over the ma and pa is just like any other time where they've destroyed ma and pa businesses that had nothing to do with it, like the blackout in New York. All of those streets after they got looted and righted. I think that was back in the 70s. I could be wrong about the decade, 70s or 80s. Those businesses never reopened. A lot of them didn't have insurance. A lot of them were not able to reopen after the big, the great blackout in New York, which, surprisingly enough, just recently in that same area, they had another blackout due to a fire in a manhole cover in the most busiest, most flashiest area of New York, which was kind of weird in itself. What do you guys think about this? I would love to see it in the chat. Speaking of chat, I'm going to pop over. End Times, thank you so much for your continued support. End Times is always giving out subscriptions to people over on DLive. Grace for you too. So thankful for you, Dex Mods and Foogle fam. We've got Kelly Josie, Kelly 334. Or 2334, Storm Raven, Renegade Petey, Kahaja Fly Girl says, hey, Foogle fam, and Joe Dirt, thank you for resubbing. We have Watch Wolf, thank you so much for the Ninja Genie, thank you, I appreciate that. And then Jaybird, Edgy Whalen, and JC Smooth, this is for Dex, haha. Greatest Love, and Red Butterfly. Hey, Yak Star, I appreciate you, glad you are doing better, Adam. You just got to take stuff day by day. And then, of course, let's see here. Cuban Warrior Princess is in the chat. Thank you. They want us divided. Thanks, Adam Dex. Ugly Rock for Naples, Florida. So another thing I wanted to briefly bring up. There's somebody who's probably not in chat right now. And I would ask that everybody sends either prayers or positive thoughts their way. Gone Girl 777. Actually had a bout and actually went unconscious and is in the ER or went to the ER. So we are asking for people to pray for her. Of course, I believe it was Archives of Truth that let us know about that. So thank you. And again, if anybody ends up getting hurt or that you know of in the Foogle family, please make sure to reach out. Some people in the Foogle family don't have regular family. So that's why a lot of this is it's very important to just know that everybody might be going through something. Somebody could have a death in the family. Somebody could have just been fired. Somebody could have just, lost a loved one. So make sure to be respectful of everyone. And I really appreciate all of you guys sending out stuff and positive prayers to those guys. Ollie Pop, thank you. I appreciate that more than you know. It says hi all. All right, you guys. And then What do you, I would honestly, I'm going to go over to the chat. What do the general of you think is going on with this Minneapolis thing? I would love to hear your guys' opinion. Thank you, Peter. Again, it looks like you just pledged on Patreon, so I appreciate that. And then I believe it was Ilea for being the last one out last night. Okay. And with this event, we're actually going to go over to this. Sorry, guys. New York, the Boston Marathon has been canceled for the first time in the event's 124-year history because of ongoing CV fears. Now, it says Boston Mayor Marty Walsh said that the race, which had already been postponed to September 14th from its April slot, would not now be held as planned for public health reasons. So what do you guys think about this? Back when this first started, did you ever think that we were actually going to have this, canceled out through the entire year? They said by February we'd be completely done, or I'm sorry, I think it was April. By April, everybody would be done, or the end of March. Now we are into April. Now we are into May. Now they are canceling things even as far out as September. So what is really going on? They're obviously not telling us how far they plan this to be out. Remember, when they first told us that this would go to 2021 or 2022, they weren't kidding. So this is literally going to be a year-long event, if not longer. So whatever this is that's happening, it's going to be permanent. And I hate just as much as everybody else hearing the new normal, but it is. This is not normal in any way, and it's going to continue. This is probably the scariest thing. Did you guys ever think, sitting there, going to the store, and everyone has a mask on? This is literally something out of a movie. And it's the worst nightmare you've ever had. There's a mystery thing that's out there, and if you touch the wrong thing, or you do this, or you do that, or you're within 6 feet of somebody, you are going to catch it. This is probably, I mean, I can't say it. Like, I'm sure you have all had enough silence to really think about what is happening. No one saw this coming, right? We saw it coming, but again, even for the people that saw it, they didn't expect it. They didn't think this would really happen, and it is reality right now. Even if the number goes down to 0, how are they justifying that the changes are staying? That's what I want to know. Dex, what do you think about Minneapolis? And then you're in Georgia, where that other event happened with the Arbery thing. I mean, it could have happened with him. This Floyd thing. It could have happened anywhere, really.
Yeah, it certainly could have. I think it's unfortunate because it doesn't seem to me that, the notion of protest is I get it. I understand why people are angry. And obviously what happened was really atrocious, but I don't know that violence, again, is always the answer to violence, right? It just doesn't seem to win when you're trying to get a message across or get something achieved. So that seems to be the struggle. And I understand what the sentiment of some of the people that said, hey, why are you doing this when you had the whole nation like with a spotlight on your issue, right? Well, and it's interesting, even here in Atlanta, I think they rolled out the Georgia State Patrol around Lenox Mall. I heard that anecdotally from some friends just earlier today, because they thought that some stuff was going to break out here in Atlanta as well.
Well, and the thing is too is what are most of the people calling for is for those police to actually get charged with the crime, right? But yeah, they might actually get it. They might actually get charged because the whole world is looking, and it's kind of stupid that they would be charged for it because all of these people are looking at that one case. What about the thousands of other cases where that actually happens and it just goes scot-free? So this one might get justice, but what about just in general? So, I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's only going to change that case when it's happened like 40 times this year and nobody talks about those other ones. So why are we seeing this one? Well, it's actually been proven. They've done studies that big platforms and big companies, they can actually pass along their advertisements. They can pass along their messages. They can get, views. They can get ratings, all by doing things that trigger people. The fluffy, coffee beans help cancer. Those stories don't go anywhere. They don't get shared. What gets shared is things that get people fired up. All I'm saying is that it is pretty nuts that they literally know. We know for a fact. You can go and look. The companies are actively and always working to put something out with drama. And, that was the whole thing behind the fake news and everything else, is because they took the real story, and that real story wouldn't go as far as, say, a fake one. So, and if you attach that fake one that everybody shares into a advertisement or for a big company or for a news agency that wants to grab people in, and then, of course, that news agency is actually owned or part owned by somebody who has a motive, then you get yourself some of the network above of the puppet masters. So that's all I'm saying. It's crazy because everything on Twitter, and if you're on Twitter, some people go, I don't even care about Twitter. Who cares? Twitter is just 160 characters. I thought of it like, why would you want to be on this thing where people say a paragraph, essentially? I was like, this is the most boring thing ever. You just read a paragraph, everybody's paragraphs. But the thing is you can share videos, you can share this, you can share little snippets, and then all of the highest ranking people, the presidents, all these people are on Twitter. So you get to hear the little snippets of their thoughts all the day, right? So that's where it got me, and I'm like, okay, I see why this is addicting. You end up looking at everybody's statements. Well, what is happening right now, it's absolutely nuts. You can see the companies that are doing it. They're grabbing everything and anything to try to fuel this craziness. That's all I'm trying to say. And then again, now we're going to talk about it here in a second. A new executive order was signed, which could change everything, especially for us at Marfoogle News. It could change everything for everybody. It's absolutely nuts. If you guys haven't joined our Discord, you guys should get in there because honestly, we need to be grouped up. We need to be organized. We need to be in our state groups. Find your local state group. So say if you're in California, California is broken down into multiple zones. You can actually go to physical meetings. Of course, the physical meetings were, kind of put on hold for a while. Some continued them at their own risk. Again, that's kind of where we're at now. Before, they were doing weekly, bi-weekly meetings underneath our Discord of over 15,000 people, not only in the United States, but in places all over the world. They're meeting and they're talking prep. They're talking about all of the things they notice. This is how you get organized. Again, there's a Creators Corner for those of you who want to spread your own message. Again, some of our success stories. NPC show is now at 35,000 subscribers. Started out in Creators Corner just a few months ago. And then, of course, Homegrown USA, he's at about 14. We've got Snafu Snaps at about 4,000. We've got West Virginia. We've got all these folks that have done it. CJ Blaze, Trinity, all sorts of creators in there. And then, of course, our exclusive military channel for former and current military. That is where we get a bulk of huge, crazy knowledge. Marfooglenews.com. Check it out. And then let's see here. Connecticut woman arrested after allegedly spitting on a man's face for going the opposite direction in a one-way aisle. That's right, a one-way aisle. This isn't out in the parking lot. This is in a store that has one-way aisles. We haven't had that here yet, luckily enough, but you're supposed to only go one way, so that way you don't brush into anybody and you don't go through somebody's cloud. Which kind of seems stupid because you can still do that in a one-way cloud, even actually probably worse. Again, they are basically saying that this is kind of a terror thing. A Connecticut woman was arrested after allegedly spitting in the face of a man at a grocery store when he went the opposite direction in a one-way aisle at the supermarket, according to reports on Thursday. Kind of extreme, right? Literally, the guy just goes the wrong way in the aisle, which it's probably well marked, and the guy is probably being a smartass and saying, I'm not going to go stupid one way when it's right there what I need to grab. This woman goes a step further and frickin' spits in her face, or spits in his face. Do you think that that's called for? I probably would say no. I did think it's disgusting. I don't think any lady or man should ever spit in somebody's face. That's really, really bad. What do you think, though? I would love to hear your opinion. 2244-00-MARF. You can find the rest of this article at marfooglenews.com. And then we have 555 workers at Tyson test positive in Iowa. As far as this does not mean anything good for the amount of food that we actually have, and that's not going to be very fun for any of us. So let's see here. I'm going to go to this, make sure I can see all of you guys. Dex, as far as the Iowa case, wasn't this the same kind of the beginning of this we covered just about a few weeks ago? If you're there.
I'm back. What was the question, Adam? I'm sorry.
In Iowa, didn't we cover the very beginning of the whole workers being tested positive?
Yeah, that seems like it's happened all across those meatpacking plants. And we were talking, I think we covered the very first one, and it was Smithfield, I believe. And it just seems to we keep hearing about it from plant to plant, and it sort of died off. Like we didn't hear much about it for the last week or two. And now it's back.
Well, and as far as all of the things, this is probably going to put in some different laws that are actually going to change the way that food is manufactured, change the way that they do things, because they're going to say that they don't want this to ever happen again. As far as all these people getting hit up, it just, who owns these companies? You know what I mean? Like, who owns Tyson? Who's on the board? Who are they friends with? That's what everybody should be asking. I know that one of the other ones, Smith Foods or whatever, is owned by WH something, and that's straight up a China company. So we'll see what happens with that. Vanessa Doe over on YouTube, sorry if I missed anybody over here, says in mass, they are making sidewalks one way. If nobody sees this, they are literally making a control system where people only go a certain way. We are literally being herded like sheep. Vanessa, that's a scary thing, and nobody even thinks of it as scary. They think, oh, it's so much more efficient. When they don't realize we're like rats chasing the cheese. They're like, oh, your work is this way. You have to go this way to get the cheese. Freedom of travel. That's one thing that we are literally losing by the day. Oh, Wise Al says, spitting is not cool. Full stop. Oh my God, how petty. That woman needs to grow the heck up, says Elfina01. Wolves 55 system is hurting the masses with every event. We get closer to totalitarian overlords. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Franny Cascadia, customer coughed on one of my coworkers. Sick people. And people do it because of like the rules. And then there's the people that are on the opposite end, right? That just they're like a super jerk about why they're not wearing a mask. Or I've already seen people go, you're such an idiot wearing a mask and this and that. You don't know. You don't have to be that person either. You don't know what people's backstories are. You don't know. I mean, it's rare, but what if they actually wore a mask all the time because they're sick or something? Or what if they're wearing a mask because they've got 5 kids at home? You don't know. You know, I understand that people are mad about it. You can do whatever you want with your body, and that should be the freedom that we should have. But don't yell at somebody else for not or for using it. Mary Wheeler says, say the words DT and Ryan, you're free to. See, I don't know about that, Oz. I don't know about that yet. Just because this thing was signed doesn't mean nothing yet. It actually, I think it might backfire. We're going to talk about that here in a second. In fact, Dex, I'm going to pull this up here. So T-Man signed a controversial executive order, and this was after essentially what happened is Twitter slapped a fact check on one of his tweets, and the tweet essentially said that oh my gosh, can we pull up the tweet, Dex, so we could show that fact checked tweet, or do we have a picture of it?
Yeah, I can go find it. I know what it said in general.
Basically it was talking about it was talking about how mail-in ballots can be fraudulent. Can be, right? And then they ended up saying, fact check, like mail-in things cannot be, or this or that. And they actually made a false statement by doing that, or at least a lot of experts think they did, because we have had problems with mail-in ballots, or at least that's what they have said has happened. So when he said that and they fact checked him, he was so mad and so egregiously pissed off about it, he ended up signing this waiver. But this might backfire, and Dex says it won't. Dex, of course, has a background in tech, and he knows how people think in these upper levels. Here's the thing. I think that this could backfire. It says T-Man signs social media executive order, calls for the removal of liability protections because of censoring. What does this mean? So say take YT, for example. They are, what is it? They're not a publisher, right?
Correct. So basically they're saying, hey, we're just a bulletin board. We're just a passive pass-through of information. And that the end user who's creating the content is the only person that's responsible for the content. We're not responsible. And basically by that happening, the only thing they're supposed to be doing is protecting the community, mostly children, from egregious or bad content that might be inappropriate for them. Not necessarily picking and choosing what content they think should be seen. If they want to pick and choose what content they should be seen, then they should be more like a publisher, like say, I don't know, Fox News or CNN. That would be a publisher, because they decide what actually shows up on their webpage, what articles are written, how it's editorialized, and then they're responsible for it. In other words, if CNN comes out and makes a blatant statement about somebody that's completely false and somebody wants to sue, they can sue CNN over that. And we've seen that happen all the time, right? But the liability is removed from all these social media companies because they claim themselves to be just a bulletin board, just a tech space, that they're not necessarily a publisher. And they've had this afforded to them for the entire time. So they have not had any liabilities. In other words, they could not be sued for the actions and the behaviors of the people on their network. And now what they're saying is as soon as they start to censor political content, then they are going to remove all of those liabilities and make them liable and consider them a publisher.
But couldn't,
by the way,
but couldn't
these
that
guys
change
have
everything? But couldn't that change everything? Couldn't they just completely change, YT forever? Couldn't they just change all of these?
You could argue that by removing political content, you are again censoring political content, right? You could argue just about any like they could come out tomorrow and say, hey, YouTube's going to be nothing but Netflix, right? I mean, they could do that, but that's not the way the platform's built. The platform is built on the backs of millions of creators creating content.
It's just sad because sometimes we just don't feel like I've put so much work into YouTube and it's just like one thing after another screws us. But how are they able to do this and decide which one's this and this and that when the same thing by another person gets pushed up? You know what I mean? Like we see the big favored people, they can say whatever they want. They can tell kids that they're ugly. I mean, like I've seen some pretty egregious things on here and they're actually put in trending. Well, meanwhile, when somebody's like really putting their nose to the grindstone, if you say something against what their view is, then you're put down at the bottom of the barrel. It's just really sad. Like, this whole thing, I think that they could literally say, okay, we're changing it tomorrow. And their big move is they're like, well, we're only doing this kind of content and you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And then it censors all of us out. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because now they are liable. That means they can be sued for the content. That doesn't that mean that they're going to go through and go,
there's no way. Okay. For them to do that, this is my opinion, but
now they're liable. But now they're liable.
But they're not. That's the whole point. If they do that, if they come out and say, we're going to stop allowing this, if we're going to start censoring that, then even that act alone puts them in the liability category. They're in a much better position to stand back and say, hey, we're not going to do anything because we don't want that liability. I think the one thing that you might see happen is like, some lawsuits on this and try to raise up whether or not it's constitutional to the Supreme Court. That's probably what we'll see. And that may take some time. But what's going to happen here, and these companies have huge, huge, huge pocketbooks, right? So that makes them a big target for anybody that would just love to start a lawsuit. And they get sued all the time, right? I mean, they have huge legal departments that do nothing but deal with lawsuits. And if all of a sudden you quadruple or, 100x the number of lawsuits against them, that's going to be insane. And they're going to lose too much money and they're not going to do it. There's just no way.
Well, it's like
too much liability.
When they did that previous thing and lost $80 billion, they didn't even blink. Like it was nothing. Alphabet lost $80 billion when they took out a bunch of people and got rid of a bunch of channels. And they realized that was kind of a mistake, right? Like, I don't know. It just seems like they have made it very one-sided. Now they're doing the whole rate yourself thing to everybody. We've gotten pretty lucky for the most part, but I mean, we've gone whole months where every single video gets marked and we're not swearing. We're not doing anything. We're not even picking a political side. You know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy what is going on right now. This is important to everybody because this is going to shape the world. This is literally going to shape the world, especially when it comes to the coming time where we all have to put a ballot in.
And just to add to it, the other things that are happening, in addition to adding the liability, Adam, and by the way, that liability is huge. The federal government's also auditing every dollar spent on all of the networks if they're spending any ad dollars on any of their programs, as well as auditing any and all financial contributions that may be going to these social networks through different programs. And they're going to pull all of that back. If anyone falls into that category, they're going to yank that money out drop the ad spend, drop any of those dollars. There's a 30-day analysis of that, and I think a 60-day ruling from the FCC that the president is asking for from the FCC on the ruling on how to enforce this. So we should see action on this within 60 days. Now, I do believe, again, we may actually see a lawsuit that then gets escalated up the chains to the Supreme Court, just like we've seen with other executive orders. These guys have a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, what's crazy to me is that these companies are so big, when they do these $3-4 million settlements, it doesn't even touch them. Like, they don't even get bothered by that. I mean, that's just nuts, where you make so much money as a company that you just have billions of dollars sitting around for like stuff like this. Like, they literally just set aside billions for people that slip on a crack in your store, this or that. Costco has it. I mean, Costco just has a department. They'll just write you a check. One guy said and this is a true story. This was at least 10 years ago. I don't know if they would still do it, but the guy tripped. The local manager got permission from one of the managers just to write him a check right there if he would sign something and leave on his way. And he got like $2,000 check because he tripped and skinned his shin on something that they left out. And I was thinking, I've never heard of a store doing that. So, but then I asked, and the manager that I knew said, yeah, actually, we have done that. I'm like, what? So, by the way, don't do that. Don't try it at home. But apparently that was like 10 years ago. So I don't know if they've changed. They've probably changed it since then. But they called corporate, and they call them, and they go, and they had like a checkbook. I'm like, what? That's because they just have extra money to pay off things, so they just go away. Zuckerberg says U.S. China in global, quote, battle of ideas over control of internet amid Hong Kong crackdown. So, again, tech expert, I would love for you to step in on this one, because this is probably right it down your aisle, Dex.
Hey, I'm back. So yeah, this is really interesting. We've been covering the Hong Kong things that are happening across Hong Kong, but now what we're seeing is a battle over the internet and who's going to control it and how it's going to be controlled, and if it's really part of China or part of itself being Hong Kong, which obviously, from our perspective, our being the United States, we're going to be pushing and backing the side of democracy and freedom and independence. And obviously China is going to be on the side of, no, we want to, just like we want to roll our police in, we also want to make sure that we're controlling the entire internet that's going through there as well.
And with everything that's happening, people like this that say stuff, it's just kind of, for me, I don't know what to even say about this. I do think that something major is going on. They are setting up for something. And, once we find it out, we're just going to be slapped in the face. Like, we're just not going to even realize how crazy fast this is all going to change. Just like the virus. Nobody thought in just a matter of a couple weeks, everybody was going to have their entire life changed permanently forever. I mean, like, this is out of a horror movie, and we're living it. If you guys are not getting our notifications, remember, you guys can actually go to marfooglenews.com and click the little red bell. That works for Android and most browsers, which means you can actually get notified to your phone, a push notification that tells us you are live, or tells you we are... It tells you we are live. There we go. And then I pulled this up for a reason. Oh, this is the other video. So actually, I wanted to pull this up because this is the inside video of Target. This is from Peep. Check this out. if you posted this, wouldn't you be committing a crime? I get the rioting, but do you, like, what's the reason for no shirt? I guess it's probably hot down there. But as you can see, in just a few short minutes since this thing started, look at that. The security barriers are just broken. I mean, literally, look at the mess. They cleared out that whole store. And you only see how... I mean, what did they grab? I mean, they grabbed everything. There's a guy riding his bike through. And, if somebody posted this, wouldn't they be committing a crime in itself? Because I think they were closed when this happened. Like, they went in, this was after hours. It certainly wasn't when it was and where were the police? Like, I don't really get it. How would the police not respond super quick and just take... I don't get what happened here. Or weren't the police here, Dex? Like, they were there, but they just didn't do anything? I don't get how... Because
I think the first, like, what I heard happen at the Target was, like, the initial... was a couple of police pulled up and honked the horn a couple times, and then they split. But I think it's probably because they were so outnumbered, and it wouldn't have made sense. It probably would have caused more of a problem if they thought about trying to get out of their car and do something about it. And then later, I think they actually rolled a lot of people into that one Target, hours later when they got enough support.
I mean, it's just... you would have to have a lot of people to clear out the amount of stuff that they cleared out. But, on top of everything else. And then it looked like the other pictures were in the daytime. So it was like, how long did this go on? You would think they would get a couple SWAT teams.
It carried on through today. It's still going on, I think,
Well, we'll see what continues to happen there. But, you would think you would have a couple SWAT teams. And I could see if 2 cops showed up and there's 100 people in there doing their business, you're outnumbered. You're not going to do it. You don't have backup. But you would think that they would have brought in somebody. It's almost like they let them do it. It's just... Yeah,
in some of the street footage from last night I was watching, they, every now and then someone would throw a rock or a bottle. And then, of course, that would cause a response from the authorities, in which they would typically throw a flashbang into the crowd where it came from. And then the crowd would disperse, run away from that area. And then slowly it would infiltrate and fill back up. And then maybe a little bit later, somebody else would throw something, and that would sort of repeat the same thing over again. But there never seemed to be a straight on clash between them out in the sense of people fighting directly, at least in the scenes I was watching.
And again, Slim Hussein, I did see your thank you. I did not get to your comment. Anybody who ends up doing it, if I do miss it, because for whatever reason, this has happened a couple times where it doesn't show up on my end. I did see Nutsack 909. Spotify is sounding good right now. Just saying. Of course, talking about how Joe Rogan and many others are starting to go over to Spotify. Almost sounds like a great deal. I also see BP, the real BP Earthwatch, is actually in the chat. Thanks for coming. Obviously, one of our favorite YouTubers here, legendary YouTuber. And then someone was right before that, and I missed it, and I can't get back to it, so I apologize. The only way I could do it is if I stop the stream and start it to see it, so I apologize about that. Looks like Trisha C says, Wages World, what's up? And then we've got Vape King 2-day event. I think they finally called in National Guard, and because they were outnumbered. Twyla says the police station was guarded by National Guard. Okay, so obviously part of it is there. And then Todd Hitchcock, ding, 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 you got it. They are letting this happen to shift the guilt on the citizens' side. Huh. Tim Harmon says they got everyone looking at the right hand while the left hand is doing something devious. It's a good point. What is going on behind the scenes? CJ Blaze says, glad you're here to watch her. Little shout out there. Janet Moz, hello Adam, Dex, and the whole Foogle fam. Tammy Nichols, Willie Z, remember Rodney. King riots. They just need an excuse. Pathetic. There's so much stuff going on right now. I mean, like, people don't want... I heard people last year, which I see able-bodied there. Able-bodied, actually, in chat, she lived through Katrina and real martial law. It is not fun. Nobody wants martial law. And some people were actually cheering for it last year because it was... Which, by the way, Q never said... oh, we want martial law or anything. It was the Q followers that kind of took that out of what the message was there. And I just thought, that I don't think that's what they're saying or anybody is saying. Why would anybody want martial law? Maybe if it was... I'm sorry, like, even if you were going to take out all of the bad guys and all of the secret indictments and take them all out, I don't think they would do it with martial law. Some said that they would do it like that because they would have to... snatch all of them up, and they would have to create, complete chaos so they could snatch them unexpectedly. I don't think that it would be a good thing at all. Again, I don't think that's what the group or the Q thought. Let's see. God is Love says, hey, BP, I'm a huge fan. Susan Popfam says, hi, BP as well. Battery Addiction, Livin' Greedy, 69, Nibberal Action, Nibiru Action says, high impact vlogs, please watch. Something is very, very wrong happening in the world. I don't know if you're saying to watch high impact or if he's in the chat and you are saying for him to watch. I don't know. I always check out Brian's channel. I think he's one of the smartest guys, let alone he's, I'm sure some hate him, some love him. Some live by what he talks about, but he's definitely does not mince his words. This is kind of crazy. U.S. unit is to arrive in Colombia to help fight drug trafficking. Now, remember, we were all locked down. All of our military is in Cheyenne Mountain. All of these weird things. Now they're going to go after cartels. They're sending our Navy someplace. And now they've got a U.S. unit to arrive in Colombia. What is really going on here? What do you guys think about it? I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Remember, guys, if you've been this far through it, make sure to press that like button. We're trying to get this show to at least 3,000 likes. It will help us move forward. It is now part of the new algorithm. So if you don't do it, that's fine. I get it. It's really hard pressing that thumb. But if you do it, we will make sure we notice. The U.S. Security Force Assistance Brigade, or the SFAB, says it will arrive in Colombia in early June, the embassy said, without specifying the size of the unit. SFAB's mission in Colombia is an opportunity to demonstrate our mutual commitment against drug trafficking and support for regional peace, respect for sovereignty, and lasting promise to defend shared ideals and values. That was, of course, a quote from said U.S. Southern Commander Admiral Craig Fuller in a statement. Last year, Colombia saw cultivation of cocoa leaves, the chief ingredient in cocaine, and a rise to 212,000 hectares from 208,000 hectares in 2018. So a lot of cocaine. At the same time, cocaine production capacity rose to 951 tons in 2019 from 879 tons. So that's about a 13 or 14% increase in cocaine. It says, according to the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy. That may not seem like much, but you've got the most evil people in the world connected to the very top of that drug chain. You've also got them hooked up into the people chain, if you know what I mean. You're talking about the secret world underneath the secret world, the black market of people, the black market of everything else. I mean, this is, people have no idea. If anyone's ever been on the dark web, you would probably know by now. Everything you think is a horror film is real life. I mean, that's really what it is. Everything that's fantasy or horror, it's real. It's somewhere and it's real. It's very, 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 very scary stuff. And then Army builds an 18.6 mile range tank killing weapon. So this thing is like the badass out of the badasses here. It says, this is a tank killing weapon, 18.6 mile range. This thing right here that looks like a bazooka on a tripod is apparently some badass weapon that knocks out armored vehicles. Why are they coming up with all this stuff now? Now, of course, they always do research and development, but what I heard from one of our military group is these things are being shipped around the country. That's what kind of freaks me out. It says, what if a Russia armored vehicle column were approaching for an attack, maneuvering between mountains about 15 kilometers away as they came forward? At the same time, the U.S. Army sees the approaching force with surveillance drones, but has no armed air support. Large rockets like the Army's Guided Multiple Launch Rocket System, a GPS-guided weapon able to hit targets out to 43 miles, might cause too large of an explosion given that the enemy force is moving through a populated urban area. What do you think about this, Dex? Dex, do you think they're setting up for something on our soil? Because it sure looks like it.
Hey, I'm back.
So populated urban areas, and they are now building specific weapons to knock out stuff in the city.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of conflict are we preparing for here? That's what I'm worried about.
Because remember, they can knock out, they already have this stuff, but this one's very specific and goes very small because their force will have to be moving through populated urban areas.
Yep.
Why is China practicing with real life areas replicated like Paris? I hate to tell you guys, but I think we're right around the corner from a conflict. And, you know, everybody says, oh, you know, warmonger. Okay, I hope it never happens. But I'm sorry. I'm going to call it now, and later, is it going to feel good to be right? No, because I don't think the internet will be here and I won't be on. This show won't exist. If this happens, you'll go, oh, Marf was right. Heck, even Christopher Green was right. People compare it to that because he would do that all like last year and the year before. But he's probably right. I believe we are around the corner from a serious, serious conflict. And people go, well, it hasn't happened yet. It's going to. These things take time, just like what is going on right now, probably 20 years in the making. So what do you guys think, though? I would love to hear your opinion. I hope I'm completely wrong. But with everything that they've done, they've turned, even if you look back 3 years, everything is pointed towards the massive buildup. Everything. Just 4 years ago or 5 years ago, the Spratly Islands didn't exist. Those got started to be built. That was a halfway point between U.S. and China, because that was one of the things. I mean, you have to realize, like, Japan, right? Nobody thought they were going to hit Hawaii because they were so far that they would have to refuel before coming all the way there, and by then we would notice them. Well, see, what they did is they said, okay, all of our guys are going to kill themselves at the end of this. That's where kamikazes came from. They only had enough gas to get out there. That's why most of them used their planes to hit us. They said, screw it, we're going down for the cause. China, on the other hand, they're building an island so they don't have to do that. And that's why there's certain strategic things that we've never really worried about, right? Well, now at the Spratly Islands, with Russia drilling and to separate all of this stuff, something is being set up that's more massive than anyone knows. You're not talking about one little thing, because if they tried to invade and just hit one little city, they would lose, and then boom, it's over. They have to get their fingers in all of it Think about the sizes of these countries. Think about all the planning that has to go into it if they're going to go on all out on out. They've learned from their experiences from previous conflicts. And this one is going to be a whole lot different. Every country or any of the main ones have been in several wars. So this one, they're going to learn from. All of the previous ones they've learned from. And they're putting everything plus the newest technology into this next one. That's just my personal thought. And again, I hope I am not right. That's if something else doesn't get us first. Will U.S. attempt to introduce new moon mining rules trigger new space race? Now, a lot of people say this is all over money, and it probably is. And, you know, we've talked about how Russia says that they're going to put a laser up there. China wants to go to the far side of the moon. They're setting up bases. They're doing this. They're doing that. And, of course, they're trying to go to Mars and have Moon as the kick of the moon with a new framework. While opposing the U.S. claimed that the new agreement will ensure space activities will be conducted solely for peaceful purposes, with transparency as a key principle. It says U.S. President DT administration has created new rules, though an executive order following a 2015 law change for how private companies might profit in operations on the moon, asteroids, and other planets. However, the new rules are in sharp contrast to the 1979 Moon Agreement, which the U.S. generally has followed, but never formally joined. The new accord, named after the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA's Artemis program, which aims to land the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024. Remember that, 2024 date that came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, all the different countries were saying 2024, 2024. Then you've got Deagle saying by 2025, we're going to have 230 less million people in the United States. Why? That's what I'm asking. Why does all the data point that we will have a gigantic, and I mean gigantic, population drop? Fourth Ryanian fuel tanker enters Venezuelan waters. It says a fourth fuel tanker from entered Venezuelan waters late on Wednesdays as the first three prepared to discharge at the gasoline-starved South American country ports. Refinitiv Icon data showed. So, wow, okay. So, love to hear your opinions on this. I'm going to go over to the chat and make sure to shout out some people here. What do you think of Venezuela? Do you think it ties in better to the entire country and what's going on? And let me make sure this. I think I know why we had some issues there for a minute. Never put cash in your mailbox without your address. I don't know why you would do that in the first place. Says Mama Rock, thank you so much. Mama Rock again, thank you guys for the diamonds over on DLive. Texas Rob 49, work in a lab handling CV. Cases numbers seem off to me. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm a Warrior C. Ramirez says, it is written, it's coming soon. That's a whole bag of worms right there. Soros agitators came Wednesday burning St. Paul. Now, live Fox 9, all of Lake St. MPLS is burned yesterday. Dex, can you check on that? It says burning St. Paul now. All of Lake St. Memples? St. Sentinemples? Sentinemples. Sentinipples? Saint Nipple. Okay. I'm going to stop trying. Coffee with Mr. B. Hello, Foogle fam. Patty Morton, One Wascally Rabbit. We are there to be closer to Venezuela. I think that we want that land, and it's probably, that one I believe is about oil. Manny P, Snowboard, Corn Frakes. Marf, do you think T-Man will help with censoring of SM? The truth will set you free. I honestly don't know. I really don't, and I don't think that... I don't know if this is going to backfire. This might be a setup so we all get screwed. What if they say, okay, then we're going to monitor everything, and we're not going to let this, we're not going to let this, we're not going to let that. I mean, think about it. That's how much they do not want him to be in office. So, we'll see. Apego Hard Bear, Enchanted Bayou, greatest love. End Times, thank you so much for your continued support. Seriously, you guys are seriously awesome. We're trying to figure out something special for all of you guys. Let's see. Reverend to the End. Thank you guys for the lemons. Cutthroat Mom. Watch Wolf. Thank you for gifting a sub to be your Valentines. Thank all of you guys that are part of the Mafia. Look at all those Mafia badges. Like, that's nuts. Okay. Just to go over to YouTube here. Newsflash, joggers are uncivilized, says Flat Slob Loser. Sheka, what is going on? Sassy Girl, Doc Bill, are you exactly right? California Dew fires Australia. Jerry Brown, what's going on? Someone. Marf, what is your plans if things go haywire? Localized meetings won't do. Would you agree? I don't know. Honestly, I would suggest that everybody get a ham radio, or at least get in a group where somebody you know and is close has a ham radio, even though they're taking out a lot of the repeater towers. Who knows why? Mark Anthony says, thank you, Rosie. It's helping. The Walking Carpet Galactic Review, which, congratulations, by the way. I saw you got over 1,000. NASA War Doc is insane. Circa 2001. It's all there. Billy Breckenwood, didn't a bunch of CEOs quit and go into hiding before all this started? Sorry, I got on here late. Billy Breckenridge, it wasn't a couple. It was over 3,000, and it's actually counted, and it might be close to 4,000 CEOs have now left their posts, retired early, unexpectedly. They are hiding. And, of course, our military leaders are still... I have not heard anything, any kind of story that says they have come out of Cheyenne Mountain. So why are our military leaders in a place that is completely safe from nuclear attack? Think about it. Something is going on that's way bigger than all of this stuff. Let's see here. CJ Bagwell says, thank you for what you do. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Also, your message will be on the next ticker down below. Okay, let's get to this. We've already got lined up callers. I've got one more thing to show you, which is my Twitter. Make sure to go follow me over here. You can find me at Marfoogle. We are closing in on 16,000 followers. Almost there. Just need a couple more, I believe. In fact, I think it's at 980. So we only need 20 more Twitter followers to get to 16,000. If you've never tried Twitter, I would at least suggest it. If you need to use somebody else's stuff to get into it, go ahead. You can also watch the show from it. It looks like there's 3 people watching on Twitter. Again, this is where we post all of the show links. There has not been a single show that we haven't posted a Twitter link to. And then, of course, all of the notifications there as well. And that's actually what we started using it for, was a notification machine. El Michelle, thanks for being here tonight. CJ Blaze, Alice J, Inverted Earth, Tina Mobley, Just Another Zen, Hardcore Monsta, Sherry Cadena, Jane McLeod, Batteries Not Included, FPV, Marfool's Gold, Simply Life Prepper, Bobby Broadway, Bob Brobber, just give up on that one, Bobby Broadway, and then we've got Sweet Rems, Thomas Boos, Electrical Noises, Bobby James Cole. Man, you guys are just everywhere. It's awesome. Everybody is active over there. That's cool. All right. Dex, if you want to introduce our first caller, it looks like it's Slim. Is that right? And
hey, Adam. Yes. First up, we have Slim. And Slim, you are live on Marfoogle TV.
Marv, what's going on? This is Slim.
So what's going on here? It says you have an update on perspective of the riots.
Yes, Marv. I'm a long-time listener. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for allowing me, to come on here and just give my perspective of just the riots. And as soon as your show came on, I'm sitting here with my girlfriend, and the first thing I saw was the Minneapolis thing, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna cover the riots." It's like this is a different perspective, and too much in the media right now. The riots is going to be the issue. And the problem that I have with that personally, being from someone from Baltimore, Maryland, it's too often that we see the same issue go down. There's video footage. There's an officer that is engaged with someone, and something happens to where it didn't have to go that far. And it's unjust as we see it, but because they're law enforcement, it seems like we're kind of desensitized to what they've done. And being from Baltimore, we had a Freddie Gray incident where he was arrested, thrown in a paddy wagon, but shows up to jail with a broken neck, dead. And the police officers in question, they were just fired. We don't hear about the issue after the fact. We don't hear about the trial. And the reason why these people are rioting, which I don't agree with, chat, I don't agree with anyone who's listening. I don't agree with the riots. But at a certain point, it's breaking our community because we know what's going to happen. We know it's going to be something to where there's not going to be really a consequence. And someone in the chat, that I was talking to, they said, well, was he at least fired? Being fired is not enough. You're changing someone's family. And these police officers seem like they have a path to where it happens and there's no real incidences. In every major inner city or urban community, it happens. Now, I was talking to Dex and I was saying, the ghetto is a different, issue because everyone lives near an urban city. The problem is on TV, that's the only thing covered. We don't cover the biker gangs in Vegas or anything like that. I was telling Dex, any racial background, no matter who you are, if you're in an area with lacking of resources, lacking of education, lacking of opportunity, no matter who you are, there's going to be crime, period. It's the strongest will survive, the weak will perish when it comes to any impoverished situation. The problem is we only see you in the city. We only see you in Philadelphia.
Well, okay,
we only
but
see you in Baltimore.
Let me ask you a question, though.
Sometimes,
Can I ask you a question, though? So let's just say hypothetically, if you were a police officer, and we've seen, I think all of us have seen Cops or now Live PD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that same kind of maneuver done a million times. And we've seen it done to everybody, right? They put their knee on their neck or on their back to keep them down. What I think is really messed up, though, is it's 20 minutes. He should be handcuffed and on the sidewalk or in the back of the car by now, and you're just still sitting there. One thing that a lot of people are saying is how big that guy was. He was a big guy. But why? That's what they should change. This should be changed. Don't you think that? What do you think about the media, though, that is showing this and that's triggering everybody? Do you think that they cared about that man, or do you think that they care about the ratings that came from that man's story?
They definitely don't care about him in that sense because you see the focus is on the riots. And Marv, one thing that you just said is the guy was pretty big, and whether it's the officer or the victim. And see, we never see an instance to where ever, I just want someone to find one to where a person of color is a police officer and it's your average, everyday, other guy, and he fears for his life under something routine. And that's the thing, we're getting desensitized to this, and everyone is not looking at that perspective. No, and I don't agree with the riots. Like I said, the community has to have self-control. it's hard to have that self-control when we know the same rhetoric. And someone in the chat, I don't know who you are, shout out to you, he said it's online murder, you know? That's what he said. This is kind of like online. We're getting video. Same as the boy jogging in Georgia that I was telling Dex. He went into a house that's newly being built, and someone confronted him. Your everyday neighborhood police confronted him. But meanwhile, they're making him seem like he's a victim because he went into this house. But then we see video that everyone has gone into this house. So what difference does it make it because he went in there? That he has to get killed? He's jogging. He's taking a jog. He didn't know his life was going to end that day.
Well, that's the thing. But we don't get into that because we don't know the full context.
Yeah.
None of us do on both sides. So I don't even think it should be an argument. They only judge off the little snippets we get. And, you know, the media never,
that's the flip of it.
They never released the 4-minute video.
Our emotions.
How did they not know that the gentleman who was filming was not only on multiple police reports? How is he getting interviews with like different channels and never stating once that he called the police prior and his name was on police reports and he was following those guys because they all thought he was some sort of criminal or that's what I'm saying. So they leave out a lot of stuff. So I get what you're saying, but we can end up going. Yeah. We stay away from that because it's just all it does is start more fight and fire. So it's
and I'm gonna end it like this because I don't want to take up too much time. I told Dex, and I'm glad he just put me as first because I wanted to take like 3-4 minutes. The only thing is communities, everyone. We just got to stand together for this. Like everyone has to come out, and I know people want to say not all police are bad and things of that nature, but we have to hold those accountable that know. Just like the gentleman in the video, you know, he's just standing by and not telling his fellow officer, hey, I think that's too much. Like, someone has to have a conscience at some point, and no one does.
Well, he said, I can't breathe. That should be automatic. If you say you can't breathe, but then somebody they all say that.
To him is just hands on his hips. Yeah, like, come on. But that's all I wanted to say, guys. Just keep an open mind. I was telling Dex the ghetto, though, because I know people are going to, in the chat, are going to say the ghetto. The B on B, you know, crime that goes on, anything like that. Remember, that's everything they want to show you. But there's so much. I'm sure there's someone that lives somewhere where there's no ethnic, really, people in their community, but there's still crimes. And, you know, that's not mainstream news, man. So, Marv, keep doing what you're doing. I watch you every night. I know you see my comments sometimes. Man, keep doing your thing. Dex, keep doing your thing. Everyone that supports the show, donate as much as you can, man. Tell people about this. I got my girl on this, you know, because some people call me a seafarer. But, you know, you ask these questions and follow the dots, things start connecting. But, yo, I appreciate it, Mark, yo, and that's all I wanted to say. And even the chat, I'm going to look into the chat. I'm going to get in there and respond to people. But I want to have, like, a real conversation. Do you guys feel this way? Are you numb to it? Are we being desensitized to this? Can anyone speak on video footage and then the course of action that goes on after that? Is firing just enough? Do you guys want to see this go to trial? Because I do. And that's going to settle the community so we're not just focusing on the riot and people in the chat saying, I have no sympathy when people are rioting. Come on now. We have to have some sympathy somewhere. So everyone have a good night, man, and I'm going to keep listening. Thank you so much.
Have a good night, Slim. And I know, you know, just because of that situation, everybody is very, very split up. But I see people, they're picking one or the other. Maybe there's a third option there. There's a fifth option, a sixth option. I think people do pick sides, and it should never be one-sided or two-sided. It should truly be, you know, they should, if they're going to make something that changes the country and people are writing, then they should give the public and literally make all of that information. If it's going to change the country so much where people are writing, they should then release all of the information about that case so everybody can see every single piece of context. Do any of you agree? Do you understand what I'm saying? So in the Floyd or any of the other cases, make everything available so we can judge it. Because the jury is going to be able to judge it properly, but are they? Because of the media coverage, it's going to screw everything up. But I think that if everybody had the same knowledge, then we could make an educated decision about this. Should this change the way that the country is run? Should it be changed the way that police are run? Because on the other end, police are out there every day. A lot of people don't like them until they're literally about to be, knocked off, and then they call the police. You can't really it's like have your cake and eat it too. I've met some really just police I do not like, just for no reason, like crossing the street, sit you down, what you doing, boy? And I'm a white guy. And, what you doing? I'm like, crossing the street. Well, crosswalk's over there. Let me check your ID, run you down. Okay, turn around, sit on the curb, this and that. I'm like, this is for jaywalking? Yeah, boy, you have a problem with that? I've had that experience, but I've also had, you almost got hit by a car, that kind of thing. Like, they're concerned. I've also had a police officer save my life. But does that mean I would on the other end of it, it's really, I don't get either side. People that think all police are bad and the people that think all police are good. Because it's really like humans. There's humans, period. In the chat right now, I'm sure there's bad people and good people. Most of the people want to be good for the public, and we all want to be on one side or the other. None of us are perfect, period. And then Christy H. I appreciate you. I missed what you said, though. And I thank you for being here tonight. I think it was Christy RH. What do you guys think? I mean, it's a pretty tough one. Dex, I'm going to have you introduce the next caller. Somebody says, Triple D Dig Sour says that cop must have been MK Ultra'd. Right, Marv? Some bad cops, some good cops. Exactly. And that was Jason Sphinx. Scan families, Adams, that's just the point. They will only release what furthers their agenda. We will never see the video in its full context. There's a 4-minute video. That's all I'm saying. We should watch the entire thing. They only show the little bit, and it does show a man jogging. Just saying. Let's see. James Pondo. I live in the neutral zone. Great and Pinky. Fiber optic. Alice J. Joseph Wani. What is going on, guys? And then Luna Soul, Mr. Cornholio, the bad apples make the good ones look bad. But doesn't that go with everything? There's preachers that make the church bad. There's politicians that make the politicians bad. There's lawyers that make the lawyers look bad. It's in every profession. You could probably, in your head, think of a family member or a friend, a good lawyer, good man, good character. You can also, in the same right, take 2 seconds, think of a bad lawyer, bad person, helps the scummiest people in the world. Politicians, fast food worker. There's every walk of life, and it is our job to really accept the fact that we're all human and understand that you can't trust anything, really. And that's what's sad about this day and age. You can't trust anything or anybody. It's very, very sad. There's very little people that have old school morals and values and character. Okay, Dex, who's next?
Hey, Adam. Up next, we have Death Crusade. Death Crusade, you are live on Marfoogle TV.
Death Crusade, what's going on?
Hey, I just wanted to call in and give you guys some information on what's going on here in Minnesota.
Okay, so where are you at and what's going on?
I live about 25 minutes south of St. Paul, in Minneapolis area, so not directly in what's going on, but...
Sorry about that, sir.
But no problem.
Go ahead, keep going.
But yeah, so with last night's what was going on, the protesters and the cops were pretty much holed up in their third precinct there, and they were kind of going back and forth between them. There was some fireworks kind of being shot towards their direction. Nothing had escalated too much, but looting had kind of started in some of the surrounding stuff right around that area. But not too far from there, there was a pawn shop, and the owner that was in the pawn shop was armed. So when someone went to go loot it, I'm assuming, I just have to say assume because I don't know what their intent was, but the owner fired and killed them. So.
And when was this?
That was last night and stuff. And then after that point last night, that's really things got amped up last night. Then after that point, that's when things started getting a lot worse. The crowds started doing a lot more things. That's a little bit after that's when they started doing the fires. The firefighters had trouble getting in there to do anything because the protesters were actually throwing rocks and bottles and stuff at the firefighters and at the fire equipment. Some of the fire units were actually damaged last night, so they were having trouble getting in there to do that. They ended up having to call in the state troopers, and then they also had to call in the next town over, which would be St. Paul police, to help back them up, to help protect the firefighters, to try to start putting out some of the fires.
So
in total last night, they started about 30 fires.
Wow. And then do you know what is happening right now? Have you gotten any word from any of your neighbors? Or?
Yep. Oh, yeah. I've been following it throughout the day. The rioting started back up today with the looting and stuff. As of last night, when I had went to bed, they had gone down probably about within a 12-block radius from that area, and they were looting literally everything last night before I went to bed in that area. But then now today, it started spreading. Once they started to back up, it started spreading to other towns and areas around that. So far, I've heard of Brooklyn Park. I've heard Rosemont. And let's see here, Woodbury up here. There's been a lot of them that have.
So this could quickly.
To,
This could quickly turn into something national. This could very well be the start of something far, far worse.
And as I was, after I got done with work, I needed to go get a few things, and I was finding some stores were actually closed. And then I quickly found a store to pick up a few things. I came straight home, and I called my friend to double check to make sure they were okay. And they were saying they were having trouble finding things because every store that they were going to was starting to close down. And the last place they checked was a Walmart, and this would have been about 7 p.m. Central Time. And at this point, they were saying that they had to leave because the National Guard showed up and told them that they needed to get people out because they were closing down the Walmart and locking it down. And this was, 25 minutes south of where that's going on. So I don't know if they're starting this way and going to be moving north, or what exactly is going on, but the National Guard has already started deploying.
And that could turn into, for you, you as a citizen who's just in a residential or wherever you're at, martial law. I mean, that could literally turn, because they're going to lock everybody down and do a curfew, so this doesn't continue to happen. This is where it could go, at least. It looks like Twin Cities in third straight night of protests after death. Wow. Look at this.
And then something else to give you a little food for thought on this too. I don't know if you guys had heard this, but the Reverend Al Sharpton had shown up here today and Jesse Jackson is on his way here too. So that's just going to add even more fuel, having these big hitters that are going to amp up the people even more.
Well, we're going to be following it overnight. You as a local, can we contact you if we have a question about your, because I know that you're going to get a lot more information from your neighbors than we're probably going to get nationally. Can we contact you if we need anything?
Yes. Yep.
All right, and that goes for other Minnesotians, I guess. Thank you so much for calling in, and I wish you a safe night, and I hope that everything goes well from here on out. I hope that it calms down instead of the opposite. All right?
All right. And thank you guys for everything you guys do.
Well, thank you for being a part of it. So, Death Crusade, you have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. That was, of course, his first time call. Great caller. I appreciate that, because when you are in a local city, you know a lot more than what's going on than, say, somebody across the country trying to report on it. So I really do appreciate that. And then we've got Joyce, another first-time caller, talking about live feeds from the protests. Dex, if you want to introduce Joyce.
Hello.
Joyce, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hi. Hi, Marv.
How are you doing? So you have a live feed here you want to share with us. What are we looking at?
So, well, I'm not sure exactly which one you're pulling up, but, you know, I'm local too. I know Death Crusade, so we're all part of the Minnesota Discord.
Okay, so first I pulled up some pictures. Hello? We're all here. We're listening. So these pictures, one is of Target. Okay. Is this a picture you took?
No, so I got that off of a Facebook group that I'm a part of. Another friend of mine, she just went a few hours ago and took some pictures of some of the devastation, so I did include some of those pictures. And then my spouse took some pictures. The rioting is moving into my neighborhood in St. Paul.
It is actually moving into your neighborhood? Is that what you just said?
Yes. Yes. And I know that a lot of stores started closing. We were trying to get some different items earlier, and everything was closed. Stores were closing all the way to the Wisconsin border. So major stores, Target, liquor stores, the Mall of America closed down. They weren't necessarily open, but I think that they had workers there, and so that, you know, they were basically evacuating except for essential workers that needed to be there.
Now, one thing was the Target and these other places were hit, I believe, after they were closed, is, you know, has, I guess, but there was a couple places, do you know of, that they harmed the employees? Is that part of it, or did they just say...
The Target, I don't know exactly what happened yesterday with the Target in Minneapolis, but that picture there is from Lake Street in Minneapolis. But over here in St. Paul today, it was about 60 people went into the Target. My understanding is that it was open, and they went in and started stealing and looting. And so the cops actually did show up in St. Paul, you know, to protect the store, and were able to sort of push them back. But people are attacking police cars, and that's one of the reasons I believe that the police, besides being outnumbered, that I believe the police aren't really responding to as much of this, or at least last night, because it was so overwhelming.
So they're actually fearing for their lives as well. So at this point, you don't want to be a police officer in Minneapolis. I think that's safe to say. Yeah,
I mean, earlier today in St. Paul, just literally a mile, maybe 2 miles from my house at the Target, you know, people were throwing things at the cops once they, you know, had barricaded the store and weren't letting them in the Target. People were yelling swear words at the police, and, just throwing all sorts of things at them and at the police cars. And I just got word from my neighbor that I don't have proof of this because I've been on the phone, so I can't verify this, but I was just told by my neighbor that they have set one of the gas stations less than a mile from my house on fire in St. Paul, and that they looted the liquor store there on Snelling.
How does it, and it seems like, how does this stuff get started? How would it start here? I would think this target, it's not like a bunch of people are just going to randomly show up. Somebody has to organize these things. I mean, obviously they organize a protest, but then the second day, do they organize another one? Where is this going on? Like, how are they planning this? How are people coming together in this kind of numbers? It's not like they're spending the night out on the streets.
Well,
these people that stole TVs, they went home and now they came back. Like, how is this working organically?
So there were people still looting on the Lake Street in Minneapolis and Target today because the police aren't. I mean, it's already, the windows are all busted out of all the businesses there. There's a strip mall there. And once that has happened, people are like, well, everything's already been taken. And you see even regular people. I know there was someone in scrubs, and that was one of the videos I was trying to send to Dex, was there were also some average people that looked like they were getting off work that see that all the looting has happened and the police aren't doing anything. And they're like, well, gee, I could really use a new vacuum cleaner. And so there are some regular people just going in because they feel that no one's doing anything about it. And,
probably going in and seeing what's left.
Think that, go ahead.
Probably going in and seeing what's left, or,
right.
You would see the worst come out in people during these times.
Yep. I was going to say that one of the, what some people were saying online was that when the police were shooting tear gas into the crowd in Minneapolis, before all of this looting happened, that people were running into Target asking to buy milk and water, to try to neutralize the tear gas, and that they were refused service. And so there is a group of people that are feeling that attacking or looting Target is justified. And I don't know if there's any validity, to the story, but that's what a lot of people were saying in the Facebook groups.
You guys, I could see why they would be tied into it. So they're, doing their thing. They're getting tear gas. They come in screaming, yelling. The store's probably like, you guys got to get out of here. No, you can't. And they're trying to go,
right,
and they can't see. So they're asking, hey, can I buy some milk to neutralize this pepper spray? They're probably like, what the heck are you? Why are you being pepper sprayed in the first place? Get out. And then they go out. Everybody's like, wow, they wouldn't do that. Then everybody goes in, and that's, I could see how that actually makes a lot of sense. If, again, that's not confirmed, but that totally does sound like a logical reason why that would kind of get tied in, other than the fact that they probably were already past that point. I was in the WTO riots when I was a teenager. I wasn't a part of the riots. In fact, my school was very, liberal in a way, to the point where it was supposed to be a peaceful riot. It's now gone down in history in Seattle as one of the worst. I, as a 14-year-old, I believe, I got tased on accident. I got pepper sprayed, or at least got pepper spray in my eye from a grenade thing. And I ended up getting rubber bullets, 3 rubber bullets to be exact. And you'll never forget them when you get hit. And I was one of many. Basically, our school said, if you want to go down and peacefully protest, you can go do so, and you won't get marked absent. So, of course, we're like, okay, let's go. And because it was a upper kind of Capitol Hill thing, it was a Capitol Hill school. So they said, whatever. So we walked down the hill and got caught in that. What I will say is I kind of saw where it's like once one person went over that threshold, it just went nuts. And I was a kid and I was trying to get away. Then people were lighting dumpsters on fire and blocking off streets. And I'm trying to go through. Then the police were not letting anybody out. They didn't care if I was 14 or 4 or 40. they didn't let me through. Then I had to go another way, and I'm just trying to avoid all this stuff. I ended up getting tased because they missed with their tase. And then I ended up getting rubber bullets because I'm running with 3 other people. And it's like, we weren't even meant to be a part of that. Now it's gone down in history. There were babies in strollers that got hit. It was a really bad thing. But the reason I'm saying that is because with what's going on right now, once one person kind of goes over that threshold, they all kind of look around and go, okay, are we doing this? We're doing it. And then you see chaos ensue because people go, we're doing this. And if something clicks, it's the same cancel culture or group mentality or jumping on the bandwagon that happens with these things. And I think this was flamed by something. Ma'am, are you still there?
You're breaking up? Yeah, you were breaking up there for a minute.
I apologize. Well, I appreciate your call, and again, the locals there.
Marf?
Please let us know what's going on.
Marf, I did want to say one last thing.
Go ahead.
So I had sent Dex some pictures of, so in Oakdale, Minnesota, allegedly is where the officer who had his knee on George Floyd's neck resides. And there were what looked to me to be peaceful protesting there yesterday. And they called in these riot control police. And I have been pretty concerned about it. And I am wondering if anyone can identify these officers. And I was wondering if they might be United Nations riot patrol police or what, because those are not Oakdale police uniforms.
And what do the uniforms look like?
They were blue, navy blue, and they had a patch emblem on the right arm, actually on both arms. I did send Dex several pictures and also put the pictures in the Discord group.
Okay, so Dex, all I got was the Dropbox with 2 pictures. Do I need to look at something else here, Dex?
Maybe refresh it. There should be about 21 pictures in there.
Oh, okay. We only had 2. All right, so we're going to see if we can identify this. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow. We've talked about these mall lot cops things. Yeah, they tore that up. Let's see if we can go through these. This is a fire from a distance, I'm assuming. What was the building on fire, by the way? That almost looked like a book or like a illustration of a fire.
Well,
what an epic photo.
There was some housing, a huge housing complex that was being built that was going to also provide some low-income housing, and that was burned down. I know that the hospitals in the area have been on lockdown, and LifeLink is not even transporting by helicopter, at least as of today.
Whoa!
Due to the conditions and the rioting.
This looks way crazier than I think a lot of people realized.
Yeah, it's sad.
Wow. You're talking about Rodney. This is Rodney again. National Guard activated to control protests following George Floyd's. Oh, okay. So, I don't know if you can see it there. Let's see. Okay, I see what you mean. So, Dex, could you see this? What is this logo here? Dex, did you have an idea on who these were after looking at those photos?
No, Adam, I don't. I'm looking at it, and the uniforms are extremely generic, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. It says police, but it doesn't have them. It does. Okay, so I bet you there's enough people in the chat on both platforms. Do you guys recognize these uniforms? And they all say that it's not the locals' uniforms. Here's the patch, the insignia.
It's not. I tried to zoom in.
It almost looks like two patches.
Yeah, I tried to zoom in on a couple of the names.
Okay, and nothing found?
They didn't look like typical, I don't want to jump to conclusions. But I think it's something we should all be aware of if, in fact, these are international police.
Well, it almost looks like Homeland Security, the logo. Hold on. Wait. Look at... Whoa. Oh, no way. Okay. Do you guys see this bird here? Let's look at the picture. That bird and that bird. Does that look like it may be Homeland Security? I don't know. If after looking at that's the navy blue. That's the same coloring. That looks like the patch. Only navy blue with white.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that may be the Homeland Security there. Again, let's see the uniform. Let's see.
And the uniforms were different too. I mean, they had, if you can see their pants leg, the gear that they have is not. They're definitely some sort of special force.
So they're...
what's interesting though, Adam, is when I'm looking up other DHS pictures, right? When you see a DHS police, they're very proud of the DHS. It's a big, the letters DHS are really big on the front, definitely on the back. These uniforms are very generic looking. Like there's no identification other than police and a name. And some of the names are hard to read. Like the letter, they don't look traditional.
Right. They don't look traditional at all. And I don't know, just the demeanor, because those are still shots I took from an actual live feed, which I have access to. But I did go and look under the United Nations. They do have, I believe, a riot police force that's supposed to be international, but I just wasn't able to confirm just due to how difficult it is to actually see the emblem.
Well, there's this logo right here that's it's got the thing all the way. Let's see here. Let's go to the top and see if we can find riot patrol. Now, if you guys can monitor the chat, monitor the chat to make sure nobody can 100% ID that, because I bet you there's a few thousand people. Somebody might know what that is. Yeah, don't know. Looks more like Zimbabwe cops than it does Minnesota. I don't know, and I'm sure by the end of the show we're gonna have comments that ID it properly. It's very hard to see here. I'm gonna blow this up as far as I can here. Let's see. Of course, it makes it even smaller. There we go. So that is, there's like a double logo. There's one and then one up above it. I don't know if that might be a second officer standing behind with that same logo. It's got the name on the right chest plate. Of course, left if you're looking at it. And then, yeah. So I'll go through the rest of the pictures here just so you guys can see it. You guys have access to these. So you will be able to go to marfooglenews.com. Look at the other patch. That just looks different. Those are some.
You see all that?
Yeah. No, I get you. That right there is the same emblem in a white with black. Wait a second. What is Minnesota, the shape of Minnesota, though? Let's see. I don't know. It kind of looks like a shape of a state, maybe? I don't know. Well, thank you for calling. I appreciate you. We got to get on to the next caller, but I really just want to thank you for calling in, especially with pictures. Sharing that kind of stuff is really important. Then everybody can go on and actually look it up for themselves. They're going to have access through marfooglenews.com, all of what you just shared. Again, thank you.
Thanks. We appreciate you guys. Stay safe.
You too. Yeah, of course. And, watch your six. All right. Minnesota state. See, it could very well be the shape of the state, surrounded by kind of a crest of some sort. I don't know. Let's see. Let's look at this, and then let's go back to that. Oh, there it was. Does that shape look like this? Not really. Maybe if it was on its side. Doesn't really make sense. All right, Dex, if you want to bring in the next caller,
Sure thing, Adam. Next up, we have D. D, you are live on Marfoogle TV.
Hello.
What's going on, D? All right, so obviously craziness ensues. What are you here to talk about today?
So I'm just going to jump on the bandwagon and talk about what's going on in Minnesota as it relates to me and my family.
Okay, go ahead. So it says your mom lives there. Is that right?
Yes. So I'm here very close to New Orleans, Louisiana, like very close. And we've been through like Katrina and all kinds of stuff. My mom's from here. My whole family's from here. And my mom lives in Minnesota. She lives about 20 minutes from Minneapolis. I'm not going to say where though. But she is actually a manager at one of the Walmarts out there. And through this whole situation, like for the last 3 months, she's been worried about me because CV is kind of like picking up here. It's like going crazy. So we're all on the phone. She's like, I'm so worried about you. And then now I'm turning around, now I'm worried about her, especially because she works at, Walmart. You know what I mean? So today, I was talking to her on the phone, panicking and stuff. And she was like, they're closing our store at 5:00. We're boarding up the Walmart. They are putting pallets up against the doors inside the Walmart. And then she called me about maybe an hour later, and she was like, yeah, we're not closing at 5, we're closing at 3. And now the National Guard is over here at the Walmart that she worked at. So she's basically, got to go back, got her weapon, got everything, but she's in her house, just bunkering down, getting ready for a long night. You know what I mean?
Well, so obviously it is spreading a lot bigger than even some of the news is reporting. Somebody just said, Google Minnesota riot police. You'll see it. Okay, we'll check that. Thank you for letting us know about that, about maybe possibly the uniforms. Now, was your mom told, or do you know if she was told when she could go back, or it's just kind of we have to wait until this calms down?
Basically, I asked her that earlier today, and she was saying that they're supposed to open at 7:00 in the morning. But if things get bad, then it's touch and go basis. You know what I mean? Also, what I was telling Dex was when I was on the phone with her talking earlier, and she was watching the news, and she was like, "Oh my God, girl." The attorney general got on the news today and said that there wasn't enough evidence to arrest the guy who, was choking him or whatever like that. So me and her were to press charges or whatever, or bring up charges or whatever was happening. And so me and her were like, why would he get on TV right when people are picking up, having this behavior all over again and say, that they can't really, there's not enough evidence yet. And so I was telling her, obviously they want something to happen. Like they're like kind of hyping this up, because if I was them, I wouldn't say anything right now. You know what I mean? I would be trying to like calm everybody down.
Yeah, no comment, right? Because, I mean, they have the right to say, we're going to... If you look at any other thing where it's sensitive in nature, they will do a press conference and go, we're just not going to answer any questions right now. It's too volatile. We'll check back. We're going to check as time goes on, this and that. No comment, no comment. Instead, they're like,
right.
This is all over everywhere. I mean, shoot, even just us covering it. But you know what? I think that this is truly turning into something way bigger. I mean, this is something
it really is
pretty crazy.
I think they gave everybody time, and like you have like everybody spend all this time at home, and then I'm an essential worker. Like I'm a ATM tech, and so I haven't had like anything. I had to take a vacation just to be off for this whole like situation, and so has my mom. You know what I mean? But a lot of people have time and opportunity right now, and so an idle mind is like very dangerous. So you push all these people into the corner, you tell them to stay home, they all going crazy, and all of a sudden you have something like this happen. Like I watched the full video and I was like completely in tears. Just the fact that the people around him were telling him, like narrating the entire situation. Like if you can look at that and not see like this man enjoying, killing this man, like, you know what I mean? So if you put that type of pressure on people that are already on the edge, like, it's like, if you treat people like animals, they're going to start behaving like animals. And that's exactly what's going on right now. You know what I mean?
No, you have a great point. And as far as what's going on, I don't think a lot of people have watched that full video. And I think a lot of people won't even, because they can't handle it. It just, nobody wants to see that. Again, it's a horrible tragedy.
Right.
And my prayers are with everybody, including your mother in Minnesota tonight. And I really just hope that we can all get past this, and we're going to be watching it through the night. I guarantee you that there's going to be some stuff popping off. So, some people go, oh, why don't you sleep? Well, most of this stuff pops off at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. You never know what is going to happen. So, I appreciate you so much for calling in, and I hope your mom's okay. Can you call back and give us an update in a couple days?
I can. Oh my God, I'm like such a big fan of this show. I listen, like I just wait for the notifications to come on my phone. I'm on D Live and on YT, and I just want to say, like, I love this show so much. You know what I mean? I'm so like excited every time you come on there. I just love it. Thank you so much for the show, and I'm so happy that you're feeling better.
Well, it's amazing to hear people say that, and it's supreme motivation to know that you guys are excited. And I'm sure you're one of the squad that always likes and always shares and does all that. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. I know Dex does too.
You are welcome.
Well, you have a wonderful night. And again, I just hope your mom is okay. Maybe you can have your mom, after it's all settled down, and hopefully it will, maybe you and your mom can call in on a 3-way call or something, and she could tell us how her experience was.
Right. I told her to take a nap today so she could be up tonight, because I was up all last night trying not to call her, because I'm watching all this stuff live at night. And, you can be like, it's all in God's hands, like leave it to God. But at the same time, it's like you only get one mom. You know what I mean? And I'm like freaking out. So I told her to take a nap during the daytime so she got off early, and so she could be on the phone with me tonight, because, I'm really afraid. I'm not afraid of like, I'm just afraid she's going to have to get up and leave in the middle of the night. Like, they might start burning down apartment complexes or something. If they burn down her apartment, like her family's down here. So I'm very worried about that. But, I'll be up tonight.
All right.
Sure.
Well, get some sleep, because we're going to have earlier show tomorrow. So you got to be there for it. Again, what was your,
okay.
Do you, this is your, D. Okay. So this is your screen name. That D is your, well, because we have multiple Ds now. We have D, DB, we have D, well, I don't want to say the other one, but, and then you probably know which one when you see him in the chat. But anyways, thank you so much for calling. You have a blessed night. And again, I hope you and your mom are okay, and we'll see you later. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Good night. I really hope that her and her mom are going to be okay. She's right. You only get one mom. I wish my mom and dad were still around. They were amazing, amazing, amazing people. Okay, and then let's see here. We've got... so Robert Morgan says no badges on the uniforms, talking about the riot police. There's no badges. Usually there is some sort of badges, unless you're an undercover cop or a FBI investigator with a suit on. You usually have a badge on a uniform, but they only have patches, which almost makes it think that, they're for hire or something. Maybe it's a group that actually has security or something. I don't know. Very odd. Timmy E, don't live in fear gives away your power, says Timmy E. CJ Blaze. Let's see here. Thank you, caller D. Now you know why FEMA bought all that ammo. Very good point. Laura Knutson, the police who handcuffed and brought Mr. Floyd out of the store were not the same as the one who murdered him. Why the switch? Actually, you know what? I know that is why that's standard procedure. So I didn't know that was that if it was in that case, but if an officer isn't involved in the death, they actually get put in a cop car right away. They're treated like a normal criminal. At least, they normally don't get charged depending on the circumstances, but they actually have to give up their weapon right there on the spot. They have to give up their stuff and get sat in a car and then get sit, and they don't know if they're going to be charged or not. They have to do a review every single time. At least that's how most police departments work. I've actually seen it. I watch enough donut operator too. There was just one a couple of weeks back in a parking lot of a Walmart. In that case, the gentleman talks about how he didn't know if he was, and in his case, it was like cut and dry. The guy just got out of the car shooting. So obviously, that guy, he actually said later too, he survived. The guy survived after being hit like 5 times by the police. He said he was trying to commit by cops. So the guy was literally, in that case, the cop was right? Because they were being shot at, and there was several times. One of them literally, I think, hit one of the cops' arms. So in that case, you can't really argue that. If you're going to shoot at them, they're going to shoot at you. I guess it depends on the circumstance. Jason Veles, they put rookies from the academy on crowd control. Oh, Jason Valles, that's a good thought. Don't they look like kids? They just look like goober. Sorry, I shouldn't say goobers. They look like noobers. Noobers. That's what I meant to say. If you look at the photos here, they just look like they're scared. Like these are people that are not police. Their stance, they just don't look like... They don't look like hardened cops. This guy looks like he's scared. That guy's probably the toughest one. They got hit. This guy, he's just walking down the street with his eyes closed. I don't know. What do you guys think? Dex, what do you think about it?
So on the footage, there is the main footage that went viral, but there's been a lot more camera angles that have been released of what has happened. And to give a quick rundown of some of the up to the point when they put the knee on the gentleman's neck, it appeared that 2 officers approached a vehicle and removed them from the car. And they removed the passenger, and the passenger was just standing aside and wasn't handcuffed or anything. But when they took the driver out, who was Floyd, there was, I wouldn't call it, a big struggle, but it was obviously an officer being assertive, trying to put handcuffs on Floyd as he's taking him out of the car. So he's got him sort of pinned in between the front door and the driver's seat after he's pulled him out of the driver's seat. He gets handcuffs on him, brings him around to the sidewalk, and sets him down on the concrete near the building. And then they talk to him for a while. Then they get up and walk across the street, through a crosswalk, over to another sidewalk, over to another police car. And then that's the end of that new footage that had come out. But it's just really an interesting perspective to see what happened before, and what led up to it. And was there like this big skirmish? And it didn't really appear to be. And then of course, once they made it to across the crosswalk and across the street and almost, down to the other police car, the gentleman did have a little bit of maybe a stumble to the ground. I don't know. But he obviously was also positioned in a different spot than what we see later in the infamous video that's gone viral.
Well, there's one thing for sure. It's going to continue to be a debate. And then, of course, it's going to cause more ruckus. And we're going to monitor it the entire time. So we'll be back tomorrow with a ton of new updates. And again, we've got somebody who apparently says that they've got some personal footage. So we're going to try to get that. They said that they weren't expecting to be there during it. So I just got the text right now. So we'll see if we can get that. Kelsey Davis says she was a sweetheart about the last caller. Kelsey Davis, thank you. And you are a sweetheart. Thank you. And most people should already know Kelsey Davis over on DLive by now. You guys should go check out her channel. She's an awesome, very sweet woman who streams here. Shy the Coffee, I'm sorry. Thank you for the ice creams. Michelle K, J Beal, WO, Texas Rob. Thanks for everybody that went and supported us tonight. Head Like a Hole. Floyd and the cop worked security together at a club. See, that's super weird because you think about that. I used to do nightclub security in Pioneer Square. I did quite a bit of places, and we knew all of the local police officers, and they would come every Friday, Saturday night. In fact, I don't know if it was the club or they could sometimes hire them from the club, or they could hire them from the city to keep the peace in some of the most popular kind of clubby areas. And you were friends with those guys. Those were the guys who came in when you had a real bad actor in your club. So that's crazy to me. I'm sure we're going to find out more information about that. It says, we need love in the world like the Foogle fam. Foogle fan says that, of course. Foogle fan, yes, you're totally right. And again, just since it's mostly Foogle fan here, or fam here right now, I can't say enough for you guys that are in the micro groups, and I think this is going to apply to about 12 people right now, and every one of them is going to think that I'm talking about them personally. No more drama. We're going to be cutting drama out of the Foogle family, just period. I'm really sick of seeing people talk behind people's backs and all this other stuff. Please, get along and get over your differences. Avoid each other if you have to. Just like in your real family. If you have an uncle you don't like, don't go visit your uncle. Everybody on all sides needs to be mature. You guys all need to just get past your differences. There's much more serious things that are going on right now. So he said this, you said that, they said that. Just let's get over it. Especially when we should be closer than ever right now instead of so far apart. And you could say you're part of the solution when really you could be a part of the problem. We seriously need to put a lot of positivity out there instead of the opposite. I have personally had 3 years of managing a whole lot of people, and it's not easy. And no one sees anything outside their own bubble, and they say, well, why isn't it? But what we see is thousands and thousands of people. There's 50 million different circles and cliques. Just drop the clicks. Big Bear, the mob just stormed the 3rd precinct. See, that's crazy. It's talking about the 3rd police precinct. Moxie Lady, helmet, you're showing now. Looks like Oath Keepers. Thanks, Moxie Lady. Southern Mercy hangs Dixie Doe. I love Beagles. Auntie M. Red 1967. Thank you guys. Fantastic show. Thank you and much love. Head Like a Hole. Yep, they interviewed the club owner. That's nuts. Durig Nug Oxnabix. I think I said that right. Thank you for the diamond. Thank you for everybody that supported us tonight over on DLive and on YouTube. Let's see here. Over on YouTube, Athena, Gene Alice, Stack, ZP. Thank you all for being here tonight. All right. Well, you guys, it is now officially time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. And it's officially time. Have a good night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
They could leave, all of you. If they wanted to leave, they could leave, all of you. If they wanted to leave, they could leave, all of you. If they wanted to leave, they could leave, all of you. I said Renegade Petey and one more mom. Thank you for being one more Mormon and one more mom, eh? Hey, the Mormons and the Anti-M's and the I Love Beagles and the Lunar Souls. Thank you for being here and never ever leaving to go. Thank you for the check mark made of gold. Hey, R-Jacks and the Ragey Time with the Jelly J and everybody in mind. Then I say, hey. The Guineas here, and enchanted by you and fear that gets us all like the Shanna M and the Jilly, that Jay with the hairy rabbit and the Lincoln. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. You've gotta watch the way. Behind the scenes and it is so ugly. You've gotta watch the way they look at you and you know it kicks back. And you do it right live, just like that. Christopher and the rest of the homegrown USAs and everybody's out there going back you, yay. I know that where you go, you've got to be a renegade PD on the #1 slide. That coffee, bring it back, Bobby. Then that Kelly, 2, 3, 3, 4, and DM. Chat no jammer, gonna go mama. Bring it right back, and he is in the slammer. Hey, don't you wanna go with me down where the Evo goes now? Gotta see the way they go. They looking evil, and I'm talking evil. I'm about to bring it just like that, and bring it just like this. And CJ Blaze like that, with the Trapper Weaver, and everybody wanna go and back around, and everybody already knows. Jilly J, Benefilla, and D79. I couldn't do it without you killers, and the Stephanie Stokies, and the Amy for Truth, and the Sallys, and everybody that comes for you. Everybody really wanna be with us, coming back around, and now you chill with us. I love beagles and the slide of coffee. Bring it right back around and now you all laughing. Coming back around and you be in the introvert. So enchanted by you and never ever have to go. About to bring it like a manny, I miss ya. Gonna bring it back and no, I will never miss ya. Gonna go down like Oda Nada. Coming back round and I got that kata. Oh no, gotta bring it back with the board energy and the Linda Cash. Gonna hit it like Phil, Billy X, and the rest, they the next, and they never X. Hi, Sherry Barker and the Bellafina KGB says I'm about to bring it like return. I've got to go. Now I'll hit it back around and bring it back now. Cause you know those evil ones, they would leave us here on earth, and they would leave us right up in the dirt. If they wanted to leave, they could leave all of you. If they wanted to leave, they could leave all of you. If they wanted to leave, they could leave all of you. Thank you, Wendy Lou, and Marfoogle Gold, and Yabba Dabba, and Revy Rest Roll, and JoJo A, and 1, 2, 3, with the Dex Cam, Bellafina, and Play Hard, with the Big D at the end, you know how we go. Gotta go, gotta go. If we could leave, I love Beagles at home, with the T-Check, Katie, Marshall, and the Inverdis Soul. Harry the Rabbit, the Riz, are the Granny J, Sassy Girl, and the Thinker Love. Now you say, gotta bring it back, do it all day, like Justin Worthy. You know that we've got everybody here, including Bo Rand, Kozan, and everybody, well, maybe not Roseanne, enchanted by you, and maybe we just go keep kicking that can down the street. Cozy, I'll bring it back now, you knows it. Looking in my yard, you're a bitch, Aura. I'm about to hit it back around and scar ya, just like the tall drink of water. Water, gotta bring it back now, do it every day now. Pablo, Jojo. Watch women in the bring down. Gotta go down with the good Lord. Cut through mom and the Shauna. I must bring it back down like you never seen it before. Slim Hussein, gotta get the game. Cambio and the T-Ray. Gotta get it just like you never did before. With the West One and Angela 4-4 with the 4110. Peaceful waters, made that 477. Gotta get yours. How don't you know that we got that love? No talking smack behind each other's back. That's what words, weird world, and you gotta get it now with the J shows every day. Dr. Sean, Granny J, always win. Gotta bring it back, gotta bring it in. Gotta get the coke, wait, cocaine moving into overwear. In Colombia, with Mrs. Woe, and old Donata. Bring it back now, we don't know nada. Not compared to the actual truth, like Triple D, Dig, Sig, Sour, and B Cabs. Bring it right back, gotta do it now. With D79, that mine with the Scan Family 5. Gotta go high, just like a bee, and you live it up live. Ooh. I like ya. Harry the Rabbit, and Claudia, Yabba Dabba, and Black Cloud. Bring it back? Yes, I will. Like Luna Soul, thank you for committing it and making go with the everybody knows where we gotta go with this. We've gotta team up like family, and this is never gonna end if we don't make friends. So let's make sure to go. Oh, gotta bring it back with the Gem Jam and the Watch Wolf and that Iggy Mom. Gotta bring it back now, you stick it on with the Foogle fan and that Krista. Gotta go back now, do it all day now, no doubt, cold cracker right now, with that domestic eight with the homegrown USA and a bring that CJ play. See, you know that way, got to go back around. It is so ugly. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. Just a Roman Numex and you got to go check 3 more and chase those 7. They just ain't worth it. See behind the scenes and it is so ugly. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. I've seen behind the scenes and it is so ugly. That's all it is, folks. Marfoogle News, where are you? Only news I use. Marfoogle News. I'm looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Marfoogle News, where are you? Only news I use. Marfoogle News. Got to go back down. You've never backing down. Got to melt that face out like it's all made of power.
with my knock I drop off in that icy car. Rich the riot, reiteration, bring it back like Susan Bang. Oh, you've got to free your mind. You've got to see the signs. And if you don't, you will die, 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 die. Everybody knows, yeah, you gotta go in bed again, and get down, get it, get, yeah, 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 get it, yeah, 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 they got time to go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta do, and I need you, I cannot do. Think about love, think about gonna da 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 da.
Only news I use, Marfoogle News, Marfoogle News. Where are you? Only news I use, Marfoogle News. I'm looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. I don't care about your views. T-Bori, the only news I use. That MDC's Nibiru. I see a love from you, and sadly I'm the rest of the always gonna say Chili J and Genosphere, going back and never fear. Andre Brisano, got to say I always know. Marfoogle News, where are you? Only news I use, Marfoogle News. Yes, there was a chest, you must have missed it. In fact, I had top 5 announced by the 3rd minute. Got to bring it back and in it. You've got to watch for the chest, otherwise you miss it. I think that top guy got like 200 of them in. Oh, 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 oh. Marfoogle News, Marfoogle News. Where are you? Only news I use. Stab it! And by the way, we did do the chest. Thanks. Now it's time for... Do you all know what this one means? The pandemic. We'll be on the pandemic. Be a bad mascot, take the mask off. 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 Be a bad boy and take the mask off. Be a bad boy and take the mask off. Be a bad I'm about to go back now, you know, Gypsy kicked off, mom and I bring DJ Blake and T-Bori with Viper Chick and Alma Kelly, bring back round and I'm Kelly, gonna go back round, oh and tell it, say gang gang with Johnny Papa, over back like oh it over. I'm about to go back to it. I'm about to go back to it. Be a bad boy. Crazy, tall jig of water, that's what they call me. No, just kidding, it's shot it and bring it back party. And I love Beagles, gotta get it running on. One more one, and one more. Gonna bring it back like you never know me. We're going to be hosting somebody random tonight. Make sure to go to marfooglenews.com if you want to see anything related to the show. Remember, you can also support us by doing your normal shopping that you're already doing on Amazon by going to our website. It's right there on the website. It's no trouble to you. You just got to click a link before you do it. Pretty simple. Lindsay, Firebird DHCH, Bobby James Cote, Lewis Quinn, Harry the Rabbit. No one is saner than anyone here. Pablo, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I'm about to walk back my fit now in the doctor, mama, in the go back now in the staff and plow in the body do now. I'm about to do it like that. Oh, Dixie on the dough, Dixie on the Joe, Joe, gotta be the daddy, yo, go. Gotta bring the Lindsay, gotta bring the Lindsay, gotta go back round here, the fancy. Gotta go back, no, not yet, oh. Gotta hold somebody, Oakland too. Oh, maybe it might just be ugly too. Gotta go get that, oh, no. I'm gonna, I'ma bring now, you know. Gonna be hosting Kelly David. I think she's nice. So we're gonna go over there, show more. Foogle love, so make sure to drop by. Oh, have it up there. Thank you, Amy R. and the top all time. Oh, good now. Number 1, Amy R. Number 2, N times. Number 3, Carol Palmer in the front rise. Gotta get the number 4 with the Damon Draco and that Tuck Pup. This month, Amy R. Number 1 N times and not Damon Drake. Oh, it's the gun girl, and we still praying. Oh, Kelly 2, 3, 3, 4, no playing. Have a good night in Kelsey Davies' stream. If you're over on D-Live, remember, if we host somebody you don't like, then just leave.